do any of you feel like your personal growth is being met from the campus administration or district administration, like your personal growth as far as where you want to go in your career or as a teacher?
Well, mine is being met. It's just so slow, and it kind of trickles down to you. Like, again, it's year 2, and I just got labbed up. But looking at where I came from the bottom, I'm happy as hell. I'm happy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it might not be nothing nobody else.
Same way with me, because last year, I was downstairs on the first floor in 145 with laptops that didn't work half the time. I didn't have a lab last year. I was in that little small room with a lot of students.
No, but it could have been better.
But here's my thing. In 2015, this sounds like a 1997 problem. You don't have labs and we're working with laptops.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like we're behind, but the district wants to show on paper, they want to show kids growth. They want us to document in September how the kids grew from October to April when we do TEI. But then, like, how is it that how is it that we're growing as educators if we're not getting the professional development that we need, and then we don't have the tools that we need to work with? So, I mean, my thing is our growth, to me, like you said, is trickling down, it's being stagnated a lot because we're not being provided everything that we need.
See, well, case president, staff development, they used to do it in the summer. You could take the classes, and it would be like a district trainer.
Right.
You go in, you could just register online and take, which to me was a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
Kept up with your hours, it was easy, you had to do 21, so you just register for 3 classes or whatever was taken during the summer, and that was it. But I guess when the budget changed or whatever, they cut a lot of that out. So now it's like, pretty much gotta go do it on your own.
So do you feel like whatever your personal goals are as far as education, are they being met, or do you feel like there's things that are lacking?
I mean, I feel like we do what we can do for what we working with.
Right.
I think that everybody legitimately at least tries to do what they can to help, but it's just resources, so you can only do so much. With what you got.
Right.
So
Right. We're gonna jump into some other questions here. We have some good conversations. The direction of the campus and the culture of the staff, administration. Everything now is dealing with culture. You look in the paper, you see Dade having those issues over there. Other campuses having issues. Like, what are y'all thoughts on the direction of the campus? Like the morale on the campus, and then how do you feel about the staff and administration?
Well, I can see leadership, active leadership here at this school. Now, other schools have issues, and I am not the one to be able to say how that elevated to that level. I have no idea. But here at this school, I do see leadership in action. And I'm talking about all the way from the front door up and down through the hallways. Now, we have a lot of young teachers in this school. And a lot of times, just because a person has a education and a teacher certificate, leadership doesn't come along with that.
That's
so,
right.
There has to be a lot of mentoring that goes along with that. Give you an example. Now, I knew what to do when I first came here last year. I didn't know a lot of people, but I knew how to sit back and evaluate and follow the positive route. I knew how to do that, So I did see a lot of positive things that was happening here at the school, even now, that I was able to follow. And I just don't say it to people, because I like them the way they are. Sometimes when you say things to people, they may change a little bit.
They need to do something about it.
Yeah, but I like you, Coach. I would walk around and I would listen to you. I would see how you would communicate with your players. I would go to your games. I would see how your players would respond to you and what you would do to try to respond to them to get the best performance out. I would do that. I would go. I'd go by I would go by his room sometime. How y'all doing? And that's all I'm doing.
Right.
I just want to hear something. You know, it doesn't take much, and it really doesn't when you're on a positive streak. It doesn't take much for somebody just to say something that could help you to grow, to build and grow. You know. But I do see a lot of positive leadership in action here at the school.
Well, me myself, don't have a lot to base nothing off of. Okay, it's my second year teaching, so I've never seen. This is all I've seen, and it's good to me because I understand the protocol, how things work, the direction the school is going in, and all that. But I couldn't tell you compare. I can't say I can compare it to a Skyline or somebody else because I just started teaching. This is all I know.
Right.
So I'm not a good candidate, to tell you that, to elaborate too much in that respect, because I really don't know, honestly.
Mac, and I'm gonna jump. I'll go to myself. You've been here the longest.
Just as far as just campus leadership.
Yeah, I mean, the direction of the campus. I mean, you've been here 8 years, so you've seen it low, high, in between. This is all our second year. So from when you first started to kind of over the years, like where do you see us at now?
I mean, it's improved discipline, academically, definitely since I first came here. When I first came, it was completely out of order.
Yeah.
So,
I heard you.
but first it's like you mentioned Data and the other schools, like you got to get discipline in order before you can do the learning part. So if that's not, if you got a small group of kids in here causing chaos every day, like there ain't nothing that's gonna be going on. So first and foremost, you got to get discipline. I think for the most part, the administration does a pretty good job with that. Dr. Terry, Mr. G, the other APs do a pretty good job. Like I said, people, you're doing what you can with what you allowed to do.
Right.
So I think for the most part, they do a pretty good job of that, addressing student issues. I haven't really had an issue with any administrator not handling the issue with a student or anything like that. So.
I'm gonna speak on myself because I know last year when I came in, I've been in education. This is my 5th year, but coming here to Samuel, I feel like, and it kind of goes back to what we've been saying. I felt like that we were getting short of the stick. We came in that first week, and I don't think we knew who our administrator was. When we first came in.
Last year?
Yeah, last year.
And look how many times it changed.
And that's what I'm going to get to. So
okay, go ahead.
We didn't have an administrator. We get an administrator. Going back to professional development, I remember that first week when we broke into groups. Well, who do we go with? Well, y'all go with Mad.
Yeah, we
Mad?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why we going with Mad? So then we get into the year, and I'll never forget, I walked in my room the first day. It was like a storage closet. I had stuff piled up. No computers, no smart board. And then I get hit with DOL and LO, and I said, man, what is up?
Yeah.
So I felt like personally that I was being put in a position to fail from the jump, and then you want to come in, you want to observe me as an administrator when I don't have the things I need to work with, and then some of y'all worse than me, So we go through the year. And it got to a point I got so frustrated, I didn't even know if I wanted to come back because I was frustrated. I felt like I had nowhere to turn to, So then we get to February, we end up getting another administrator. Or we didn't have whatever happened, we didn't have an administrator for a while. Then we got Ms. Kirstetter. So we had 2 or 3 administrators in 1 year. And then for me, when we got Ms. Kirstetter, it was like the sun came out. Finally, at least somebody listening to me. They trying to understand what I'm going through, and there were some other administrators that helped. But just from last year to this year, I can see, I feel like the administration team is done a great job. I feel like, to me now, I feel like the administration team is pretty much all on the same page. You got different personalities, whatever. But I feel like there really has changed from Mr. Vega on down. I want to say it's a little bit more relaxed. It's kind of my opinion, little bit more relaxed than it was last year?
I know my job has been a lot easier
Okay.
coming from trying to do my my DOL and all that with nothing. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you got to make up the
Right.
assignment.
Right.
Look at the teacher, read it, and now figure out how you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, the kids don't even have pencils.
Right.
You know, we need mechanical. We don't have nothing. I got angles and 45-degree angles and 30-degree angles all like from my firm and brought up here to use.
Mm.
You know, so I had equipment, but I couldn't supply 30. You know, so we whatever it took to get it done is what we did, and that was last year. So of course I think I'm a king now. So don't ask me because I'm praising Mr. Murray,
Yeah.
praising Mr. Vega. Thank you, man. In a year's time, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might be the wrong guy. I think I'm hell.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's a perspective we need, because I feel like, you know, that once Mr. Murray came in, at least we now had somebody who's gonna listen to us.
Right.
And then we didn't get a math guy or a science guy that didn't understand what we did. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? Now he knows what we do. He knows what we teach.
Right.
And so now I feel like we get a fair shake when it comes to observation,
Right.
when it comes to walkthroughs,
Yes.
when it comes to requests for materials.
Yeah.
You know, if you talk to a science guy, my computer's not working, well, just do it out. Wait a minute, you know, you don't tell science people to do it out of Bunsen burner, you know, or the periodic table.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, I think, and I'm kind of saying, I think it's come a long way. I'm feeling, you know, real good,
Yeah, I am.
you know, about the way things are. Improvements on the school, and this is a big area on site-based. What improvements? I mean, we all know improvements can be made. What improvements would you feel that could be made, should be made, you want made? You know, needs, wants, desires. What are your takes on that?
Again, I think we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, based on my limited knowledge, you know, of being in the school district or even teaching, period. So, because when we had I wasn't complaining we had one planning period. Then we got two. I was like, oh, we hit lotto. I'm not the guy, because I'm thinking that's good.
Right.
You know, you get a planning period every day. You know, versus that being the norm for somebody else.
Right.
If you don't know any better,
Yeah.
it's hard to tell
Right.
that you've been shortchanged.
Right.
That's what I feel.
Matt, you got more. I'm gonna keep coming back to you because you've been here the longest. Improvements, needs, wants.
As far as campus improvements, I mean, I don't know realistically how much can you really improve just based on the demographics of the neighborhood and who you're dealing with that come in the building. Like I said, I mean, I've seen it improve from what it was. Will the school ever be euphoria? Probably not. But you know, I think for the most part, you know, it's pretty orderly. I mean, you always gonna have a few kids. That
And when
just
you say
do what they wanna
improvements,
do.
you mean as a whole? Because if you say as a whole, I can say improvements to the building now.
Okay, that's
You
improvement.
know, we got parts of the building that's not even utilized
Right.
because it's not functioning or not up to code, or it's got problem like the top floor, the auditorium, and all that. It's just store junk here.
It's just there. Yeah.
You know,
That's
when
yeah.
something can be happening in that space.
Yeah.
You know, productive.
Yeah.
You know, you got things like that, finishes. You know, stuff that's raggedy. You know,
And they actually,
you got
like I
those
say
kind of
again,
improvements.
based off from what it was, we made improvements from there. 'Cause the lockers used to be like this color green. You know, they went and painted that, repainted all the halls, like all that stuff used to be paint chipping off. You know, it didn't even look like.
See,
school
and I wouldn't even
went
know
on.
that.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
So, like I said, I think, you know, they are doing what they can with
What they
the
have.
resources that they're allowed to work with. So, I mean, you know, I think student discipline, parent engagement, that's always a work in progress. So, that part is probably a big especially parent engagement. That's a big part of that.
Two things I'm gonna just talk about because I love